All right, Shalom. This is Ariel Ben Yasharallah, Diane Lions in Camp. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Father, and to the Son, in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. All right. Call Halayim La, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha, Racha Kodash Ma'amath. A double honor to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well. A double honor to my elder apostle as well, Ahar one Ben Yasharallah, Diane Lions in Camp. And it's a sincere water to the Akim, the Aquatim, and the Bunyim, the brothers, the sisters, and the children who are pushing truth and believing with sincerity, the Wad and Shalom. This is just a quick lesson. I've been seeing a lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of videos about people talking about camps, they don't do camps and camps are bad and stuff like that. And it's understandable why they say that, because the majority of the camps that they see are from like IUIC or ISUBK or something like that, pretty much making a fool of themselves. But at the same time, the order of going out to teach is necessary. And even though I hate saying the Israelite community, but I'll say it for this sake, in the Israelite community, the reason why we call it, even though we call it camp, it's really church. All right. But this is Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. Sluck you. It says, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them." So that right there shows the importance of fellowshipping, meeting up with the Akim, all right, breaking bread, helping somebody through, whatever tumultuousness that they're going through in their life. All right. Because even though we know the scriptures, when we hear from somebody else, it might hit different, um, but ultimately going out and teaching is part of what the Lord wants us to do. It's part of us, of bringing the elect, waking up the elect in the 1/3. All right. So this is Proverbs chapter 1. All right. This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 20. It says, "Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets." Right. And, wisdom, the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is crying without, uttering her voice in the streets. All right. And her voice are the men, all right, the prophets who are out there on the streets, on the highways and byways, preaching, all right, telling people that America's about to be destroyed, telling people that, you're not supposed to, sleep with another man's wife, bidding many back to the marriage. All right. I'll go and read these. Verse 21. It says, she crieth in the chief place of concourse. All right. That's where we go. When you go out on the highways and byways, of course, if there's nobody out, there's nobody else. You could teach to the wind, like the scriptures say, but you're supposed to go to a sea of people and fish ultimately, because, you want to wake up our brothers and our brethren. All right. Our kinsmen. In the openings of the gates in the city, she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in her scornings, and fools hate knowledge. Right. So, and that's what we being out there is doing. All right. We're waking up our people. All right. We're crying, speaking wisdom out into a sea of people. All right. Hopefully, not hopefully, but to wake up the elect. All right. My next one. All right. This is Proverbs chapter 8, verse 3. So like in verse 1, it says, "Doeth not wisdom cry?" All right. And that's what us going out on the highways and byways week in and week out, that's what it's doing. All right. Not only us going out, but also making these epistles, which you're watching now, these videos. But ultimately, I wanted to focus on us going out on the highways and byways and how important it is, because I see a lot of individuals as I'm watching these videos, they just don't want to. They see the folly in the setup of and the setup of the Lord, pretty much. And even though IUIC and ISBK, they're not doing it with sincerity and with truth, the fact that they are doing it, I guess, counts for something. But a lot of the individuals who say that they're not for camp and all that jazz, you know, then start your own camp. When they talk about, oh, what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that, that's okay. All right, start your own. You do it right. Let your tree bear fruits. All right, and that's what a lot of I see fear in a lot of people who talk about that type of stuff, because if you think you can do it better, do it better. But ultimately, you going it's got to be done. All right. We got to be out there on the highways and byways. Matter of fact, let me finish the rest of the scripture. Do with wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice. She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the place of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in, and at the doors. Right. Matter of fact, let me keep going. Verse 4 and 5. Well, verse 4 right now. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Right. So, I mean, we have to get out on the highways and byways and preach. All right. Even if you are making videos, every day, we still got to get out on the highways and byways and proclaim the majesty of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It's a very important thing. All right. And if you're watching this video and you haven't gone out on the highways and byways, but you made videos, or you haven't been making videos, and you just feel as if, all these camps are wicked and stuff like that, you have an obligation to get out there and teach the doctrine that you feel is the correct doctrine. All right. And stand 10 toes down for the Lord. All right. Have people come up. Matter of fact, let me get that one. Hold on. All right. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service. So our reasonable service, just reasonable, all right, is getting out there on the highways and byways, preaching the word, all right, lifting up our voice like a trumpet, all right, having wisdom come out of us, having wisdom cry from us, and giving our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, all right, set apart, okay, separate, all right. That's one of the important things of going out there on the highways and byways and teaching. That's one of the important things of camp. All right, we call it camp because well, I haven't asked anybody why we call it camp, but as I was reading Joshua, every time the Israelites sojourned to and fro, they would always set up camp. So when I was reading the scriptures and I look at the setup, how we as men sojourn to different places. Well, not sojourn, but when we do move throughout the city, I'll say the city and whatever the city of the men who teach. We move to different places, and we're at camp. We camp places because when we sit, we're going to camp there pretty much. But ultimately, matter of fact, let me get that definition. All right, this is the AI overview of the etymology of the word church. All right, Germanic roots tracing back to Greek, meaning of the Lord, likely from that, whatever that word is. I'm not gonna try to say that, or house of the Lord. While many languages often use words from the Greek meaning called out assembly, English adopted the Germanic term for a place of worship, which developed into church, related to German Kirche and Scots Kirk, right? So church isn't just a specific building or a place you go. All right. It's ultimately what you're doing. All right. Just how I said, calling out an assembly. All right. So when you hear the word camp, think church. All right. There's a group of individuals who, I'm just talking about for the individual who isn't in the camp. There's a group of men who are, proclaiming the wisdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, well, Lord willing, they are in sincerity and in truth. If you see or hear somebody, But that's ultimately what it is. Let me get my last scripture, because it's important to get out on the highways and byways and teach ultimately. All right, this is First Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21. It says, "For after that is the wisdom of Yahweh. The world by wisdom knew not Yahweh. It pleased Yahweh by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe." So if you call yourself an Israelite, if you call yourself, a man of the Lord, it pleases Yahweh, pleases the Lord, all right, to go out and preach and look foolish unto the world, all right, ultimately to be saved by the Lord, all right, to show your belief and your hope and your faith in the Lord, all right. So for all these individuals who are saying, they don't like the camps, I heard a motherfucker say they're an individualite. Okay, all right, buddy. you know but for all that individualism, the Lord is also going to look at you as an individual as well, separate from him, rather than putting on the cloak of his spirit. But Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Shalom.